Hey guys, my name is Max, and today on the Halo Chronicles I'm going to be talking about whether vehicle combat is dying out in Halo 5. So over the past few days, whenever I've been able to get online with friends, I've really enjoyed using Warthogs, and it really inspired me to make this video because we've been having a fair bit of success, I'd say, with them, and just in general quite a lot of fun, whether we're getting decent kill streaks or not with them. So I just wanted to talk to you today about whether vehicle combat is actually still fun and relevant in Halo 5 today, because I feel a lot of people just use weapons and never touch vehicles in Big Team Battle and Warzone because they are largely irrelevant in the grand scheme of the game. I've heard a lot of people tell me that they just tend to stick to weapons such as the Ab Victorium, Selene's Lance, Nornfangs, because they are much easier ways of getting lots of quick kills where you don't necessarily have to be in the battle, and you can take down vehicles, you can take down gunners and enemy players, and I found that's one of the biggest problems with playing in a vehicle. Whenever I would spawn a Gorsog, I'd sometimes find if I was playing against quite good opponents that they'd be able to instantly just shoot me straight off of the turret or shoot me out of the driver's seat before we even get a chance to really make an impact. And I think in Warzone it is really difficult to balance these vehicles in, but I feel the best way to balance them would be to have more routes that vehicles can take. In Halo 5's Warzone, a lot of the maps only have, say, 2 or 3 routes a vehicle of a certain size can enter, and if you have a Scorpion, there's even less routes you can enter. This means that when you are operating a vehicle, the enemy team are always going to be looking in the same 2 or 3 spots for that vehicle every single time you spawn in, and this makes it very predictable so that someone can camp with a Spartan laser, plasma pistol, grenade launcher, and just wait for you to come around that corner in your vehicle and then just instantly take you down. It makes routes very predictable, it doesn't allow for many creative plays, and the vehicle combat, which was so good in Halo 3, is sort of lost because you can't get all around the map. And this was a big problem in Halo 4 with the map Exile, which was basically just one giant circle that you had to move around, and when you're in the Banshee on that map, there was almost no room in the air for you to sort of maneuver left, maneuver right. You just had to stay down this one fixed set path. So I feel for the future, 343 could possibly introduce some maps which, especially in Warzone, have more routes that you can take a vehicle down. If I feel I can't really get to anything important in a vehicle sometimes, so I sort of have to just loop around the outside of bases. I can't get inside, I can't make an impact because I'm in a vehicle, and the outside spaces are pretty difficult to get to. I think players should be punished for running out into quite open spaces, but certain maps, like I think it's Raid on Apex 7, has so much cover on the map and the open spaces are so small that unless you're out on the beach fighting against a boss, there's really no reason for you to have any difficulties taking down a vehicle, and it puts people who want to drive vehicles in a serious disadvantage. And I feel that only if I'm playing against sort of lesser skilled players I'm able to really dominate in a vehicle. So the main route me and my friends have had to sort of go through for when we're using vehicles is to get to level 3 Rex as soon as possible in Warzone, call in an Overshield and an Oni Warthog, and just instantly get out. I think the quickest we ever managed to get that done was just under 2 minutes, and once you've got that going straight into the game, you're quite powerful for the first 5 minutes of the game, but if you're against quite a skilled team, even then you might not be able to make much of an impact past that 5-minute mark with any form of Warthog, because once you get up to the Gorse levels, everyone's got a Spartan laser, everyone's got a Mantis, a Scorpion, and your Gorsog may not be able to do as much damage, and I find that everyone can easily get a Void's Tear wrecked quite quickly because even the lower level players will even be at level 4 at that point. I also find there's quite a big problem with big team battles, because unless you're on a map, say like the Sandtrap remake, which is okay for vehicle combat, a lot of the areas are very difficult to wiggle the vehicles into. I think it's the map Guillotine or maps similar to that which have very, very tight areas, and unless you're in the Banshee, it's really difficult to get lots of kills. The paths are very, very linear in Big Team Battle, and I mean so much more linear than Warzone, and it makes them largely irrelevant. I don't think, unless there's sort of some of the bigger maps that were brought in the updates, I don't really play too much Big Team Battle, so I'm not sure of the names, but some of them have okay for sort of Banshee combat, but unless you're piloting a Banshee, it's very, very difficult to get a lot of those kill streaks going. Also, in Scorpions, you're very vulnerable. In Big Team Battle, it's a little bit easier when you've got all your teams sort of compact around you, but in Warzone, I feel that it's so easy to be taken out because of active camo. There is absolutely no counter to it, and one way I think I would improve that for 343's part, and this might actually encourage a bit more teamwork, is if there was a bit more cover on the turret, and say for the Oni and for the Hannibal Scorpions, the person operating the turret got the Promethean vision from Halo 4, and that was able to see invisible players, crouching players, and they'd be able to use a lot more communication. They can look behind them. They wouldn't be able to shoot necessarily, but they can look behind them to see if there's anyone sort of crouching around, just so there's some form of combat to active camo players. So I feel a lot less confident bringing out a Scorpion in any Warzone game, just because I know I could get taken down by someone with active camo and there's nothing I can do about it. And active camo is a good 2 and sometimes even 3 racks lower than yours, and it feels very cheap when someone's able to almost take you out without any way of you dealing with it. And just by having this little potential feature in, or something similar to that, just so there is a counter, maybe so if you brush past on your radar or your reticle or something, someone with active camo, you get some sort of laser targeter on them, just so it's a little bit more likely that you'll see them, because I just do not call Scorpions in just for that reason. I found, once again, Warthogs are really fun to play with, providing you stay in the really open areas of the map, which can sometimes cause a few problems. I feel like they're balanced in very well as far as when someone's out in an open area. However, again, if someone's wrecking Spartan lasers, snipers, even a good shot with a DMR can sometimes be really problematic. Although I think if someone's able to kill you with a precision weapon off the back, it's a really good job on their part. But I do think that most vehicles are quite easy to destroy. I think the Scorpions are balanced in very well, but especially some of the smaller vehicles like a Ghost or especially a Warthog, I would have to say, they're so easy to be destroyed and it's so easy to be shot out of them. I think even the best Warthogs like the Oni and the Sword Needle one have almost no cover at all. And I saw a prefab someone had made where there's so much cover on their prefab Warthog that you can barely be seen around anything besides your head, and I feel like we need maybe a level 4 or level 5 Warthog with possibly an Oni turret or something that was a little bit more covered, or possibly even a Hannibal Warthog, which would be really interesting to see, as then I'd be more obliged to go into the gunner position without having to keep calling in overshields, calling in damage boosts, because I feel like that's the only way I feel confident enough to drive on the back of a Warthog. I do, however, really like the learning curve of being able to switch seats in the Warthog. There will be one clip in this gameplay where I'm being shot off of the back of the Warthog and I use LB to switch into the passenger seat of the Warthog, or whatever your jump button would be, and it manages to save me from dying because you're actually constantly moving, which makes it very difficult for the enemies to hit you. And I feel that's one really great introduction that 343 brought into Halo 5. It provides a learning curve and it definitely makes it a lot more tricky to take people out. You can have much more creative plays, and I think the more creative things you can do with the vehicles, the better. I know I saw a montage done by Mint Blitz recently, and this is a great montage. I'll probably leave a link to Mint Blitz's montage in the description, and he does a few crazy tricks with vehicles. I know there's one clip where he gets a Ghost on top of one of the new Wasps and flies it up onto the top of the main building on the Battle of Noctis. And just creative little things you can do like that, and you can only really do that when you've got a lot of space to fly and move. But there are so many maps in Halo 5's Warzone that I just feel are not big enough and just do not have enough routes around. So I would say the main improvements that need to be made to Warzone just to make vehicle combat a bit more viable are having those much larger open spaces, having counters to all the weapons that can so easily take out a vehicle, and giving just a bit more freedom and room. I think vehicles also take so much time up just to spawn and get in, and once you're chosen your vehicle, it just takes so long to get something like a tank or a Mantis into the fight. It can take a good minute just to get from your core base to the fight, or if you spawn at maybe a garage, you might be under a lot of pressure straight off of your spawn just by where you've been placed on the map. I know many a time where I've lost a scorpion or a mantis straight away, or even a lesser vehicle, just because it spawned me in at the wrong base, and I've say spawned at the furthest one away, and we're just about to lose that base to the enemy. So the second I spawn, there's already a lot of people around me, and then it's very difficult to make any form of impact. So I would also possibly improve vehicle combat in the way I was talking about in my Battlefield 1 related video. I've done that a few months back, where I compared a few of the nice tricks that were done in Battlefield 1, and that was one where you can spawn into vehicle gunners. So possibly in the Warzone game type, maybe not in Big Team Battle, that might be a bit too confusing, but in Warzone, when you're spawning, you're able to see what vehicles are being operated and what seats are available in them. So say if there's a Scorpion on the map and there's no one in the gun seat, you bring and wreck a damage boost and then choose that gunner seat, and then the second you spawn in, you will spawn straight into the gunner position of that vehicle, and then you've got a damage boost, you're in a turret, and you're suddenly much more viable. And maybe the same possibly with Scout Warthogs, and any other tank vehicle. I think that would encourage a bit more teamwork, because unless I'm online with a friend or a couple of people who really want to operate a vehicle, I find that I'll often have no one in my turret or no one really guarding my vehicle with anything else. So I think that would just provide an extra level of reason for more people to use the vehicles, as then there will constantly be full vehicles going around the map, as teammates will be more aware and wanting to get in them if the option is presented to them a little bit more clearly, rather than that you have to somehow climb onto a moving vehicle. And if the two players with each other don't know each other, then the driver of the main vehicle will be just moving along as they are, and the person trying to get in the turret, he might not even know that they're trying to get in there. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you think vehicle combat is dying at all in the comments below. I'm personally really enjoying it at the minute, but only really with my friends at the minute. They are so difficult to use, it's an incredible learning curve, and I've never really used vehicles too much in Halo before this time. Thank you for watching the video, don't forget to like and comment, and I will see you in the next video.